Can you tell us a bit about your experience with this cold calling with AI?
Well, I can tell you, the connection rate is based on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you in the real estate industry, I cold called for 20 years, literally cold called. And my numbers were I would have anywhere from 15 to 20 conversations an hour, right? And that would connections and be able to qualify and have a conversation. And it would take me about 150 conversations to get a lead that wanted to sell. And with the AI, it takes about 250 conversations. And it's just that, you're catching people at a bad time. We got a lot of foreigners calling right now. So the caller ID, I think, is our biggest obstacle, but it takes 250. I mean, who wants to be on the phone for 4 hours a day, 10 days to get an actual listing contract where you can have the AI call them 5,000, 10,000 people in a day and get the listing that day?
Yeah, I think the overall benefit outweighs the risk. When we were doing cold calling manually like 2 years ago, I remember we had to always switch numbers because sometimes these numbers would get blacklisted as spam, so you had to find the one that's not. And we would call ourselves from those numbers to see if it shows up as spam or not. If it didn't, then we called other people, because otherwise people just see it as spam on their phone because of the spam blockers. But now that we're going to be doing scale 10, 20, 30,000 calls a day, there's a regulation right now around that, so that's good.
The FCC came out last year for cold calling in the United States. They put out a rule that said you can't cold call. But watch, for 20 years, there was a rule that said you couldn't cold call anyway. They came out with a do not call list. They came out with all this other, but we still do it because we're in the sales. We're in the business. Listen, if you're not prospecting, you're going to be out of business. If you're not acquiring, the main purpose of any business is to acquire a customer, period. It's to acquire a customer. And if you're not acquiring customers, you'll be out of business, period. So you need to find that way. Now, we're finding the AI doing a wonderful job. Our AI that follows up on Facebook leads has a 6% conversion rate versus 3% that we were doing as a human. Because it's digging deep and it's speed to lead.
Because it can hyper-personalize at scale. It can look at the person's profile and then say, hey, see you're here, but you're looking to whatever you were trying to sell them. But
sure,
it can hyper-personalize at scale. And then it can have,
I would say that. And then you can say, hey, you said you wanted this. You said you wanted this house. You wanted this price in this area. Now, how long have you been looking? Are you currently looking with a real estate? Are you currently working with a real estate agent? What is your time frame? Do you have to sell something? I mean, it has a 3 to 5 minute conversation, and we programmed that one not to give up. So we prefer they hang up than book an appointment for, a call me back. We say, yeah, we certainly appreciate that. I can appreciate that. We'll definitely call you back. What's a better time? And by the way, and then we just go straight into the process. We use that for life insurance as well, for final expense.